All right, guys, we are just going to have a brief little presentation on proposals. Proposals, this is a type of genre that you are going to be using throughout college and your careers. You use proposals in college to kind of let professors know what type of paper or project you'll be doing. And when you get out into the business world, you'll be using them to let others know a service that you can offer, or you might write a proposal to get grant money or to make a request to do research in your particular field. Normally, proposals concentrate on the following characteristics: a precise description of the problem, a clear and compelling solution to the problem, evidence that your solution will address the problem, acknowledgement of other possible solutions, and a statement of what your proposal will accomplish. These are kind of things that you will also use kind of more in the business world and also when you're making academic proposals. But when you're making proposals specifically for papers, there are a few other elements. As with any assignment, you want to keep those elements of rhetoric at the forefront, like who is your audience? Who are you writing this for? Did you study the situation? What do you know about the topic and what do you need to know? And that's going to be the evidence that you're bringing into a paper. How will you present the topic to your audience? How much will they know? And how will you make them care? Because you have to think, does my audience potentially know about this topic? If they do, then maybe I don't have to give quite as much of a description about it. But, go into your papers assuming that your audience doesn't really know much at all. And so you want to always make sure that you're giving just enough about what you're writing about so that way your audience can understand. And you also have to think, how will you make them care? That kind of emotional appeal, that pathos there. So as you're constructing them, is it going to be, evidence from facts and statistics, interviews? Maybe you're bringing people in who have experienced it in the first place. Always think, how can I make this interesting and how can I make them care about something that I care about? What will your solution or call to action be? What do you want them to get out of it? What would you want them to do after you read your paper? And how will you establish your credibility or your ethos? So for this particular assignment, I'm going to be asking you to construct what I'm calling a baby proposal, where you'll address the following elements. So what is your topic? What's your opinion that you're going to be addressing? What evidence will you be addressing, and where will you get that evidence and establish your credibility? What possible counter arguments might you address? Who is your audience? Why should your audience care? And what do you hope to accomplish with this particular paper? So all you have to do is answer those 6 questions. Now you can just answer them, and number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm fine with that. If you want to construct a paragraph, that's fine with me too, just as long as you make sure that you hit each of these elements. So let me give you an example. So in class, we watched the video about Claudette Colvin, and I told you about the paper where she's trying to get her criminal record expunged. So that way it's erased and it's no longer there. So if I were writing a paper, so my topic might be Claudette Colvin deserves to have her record expunged. So that way she no longer has a criminal record. So what evidence would I be addressing? And how would I establish my credibility? So probably what I would do is I'd go in and do a little bit of research, like why would someone want their criminal record erased? What benefit would that be? I would probably also find evidence about her arrest. Was it right that they arrested her? Should they have maybe erased her criminal record sooner? So I'd want to research the topic a little bit and find out a little bit more information. So what possible counter arguments might be in that paper? Well, some might say, well, what's the point? I mean, she's in her 80s. She's been able to live her whole life with this record. So what good does it do now? That is a very valid counter argument that somebody might bring up with that. Who is my audience? My audience is a general audience, and I want this to be the audience for your paper as well. It's just a general audience. That's all you have to do for this particular question. Why should my audience care? Well, I think in my case, if we're writing this paper about Claudette Colvin, is that, a lot of times people who have done great things in history haven't been given full credit for what they've done. And I think that that's extremely important that we know our history. And so that way people know exactly how some of these movements in the civil rights started and how people got criminal records for standing up for what was right. And I think that that is something we should all care about. So, what do I hope to accomplish? Well, I hope my audience can see my points and see that Claudette Colvin's records should be, criminal records should be erased. And maybe, who knows, maybe they'll write letters to the editors themselves saying, hey, this lady's criminal record needs to be erased. They'll share her story. That's another thing I hope to accomplish, is so that way more people can know about her and know about her history. So that's just an example of what my baby proposal would be. As I said, I just went through the questions, answered them. That's all you'll have to do for this particular assignment. But as always, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out anytime.